Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Boots and Backstraps podcast.
Brought to you by Homes by Shane and produced by Danny Geo Productions.
Come on now.
The hunt is on, looking for backstraps, way deep in the woods, tracking in a swamp to a hay field under the harvest moon. When the tags are filled, it's time to switch up our boots. Head down to the honky-tonk, get us a swing dance or two. We're talking about boots and backstraps.
Hey everybody, this is a show where we talk all things hunting and country music.
From the classics through today.
From big bucks to bull elk. We've got it all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our very first live episode of Boots and Backstraps.
Come on now.
Come on now. TK, how we doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Shane. Good to be here. This is the scene of the crime.
It is the scene of the crime. Many crimes, as it were.
Many crimes. Oh my goodness. I'm really, really excited. I'm more excited about this one, I think, than any of our previous podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, we're live at the Hoggsbreath in Little Canada, Minnesota, home of the original Tomcat Rowdy Cowboy Show, and then for years thereafter, the Rowdy Cowboy Show with Shane and Kid. So
he pointed, so now you have to say he's here.
Yeah, Kid George is with us.
Because people are going to be like, why did he just point off camera?
Yeah.
Because KG's here. KG is playing production assistant today.
We are here with one of my oldest and dearest friends, a gentleman that I've been hunting.
Now, when you say oldest, do you mean like as long as you've known him, or he's just that old?
Well, just as long as I've known him.
Okay, because you know some old people in general.
I don't. Listen, you prick.
I'm going to get whacked before we even start.
Tommy Durray, the owner of the Hoggsbreath, owner since 1977.
You are right.
Good to have you here, buddy.
Hey, it's good to be here, and I want to thank the Boots and Backstraps podcast production of coming here to the Hoggsbreath. It's going to be a great adventure.
Yeah, it's
and
gonna be fun.
Thank you, Shane.
You're welcome.
For having the podcast here, and always the world famous Tomcat. he is a legend here at the Hoggsbreath, and also thank the staff for setting up here. They did a wonderful job, and it's nice to have you guys here. And
Tommy, you could have a future in this stuff.
You could.
You know, he started out calling bingo.
yes, that is my forte.
We're actually going to get into Hoggsbreath bingo at some point in this conversation today. So
Cool. We have so much to talk about today. Tommy Durray and country music are synonymous.
Yep.
I mean, the Hoggsbreath and country music. I would even say that the Hoggsbreath was very instrumental in the success of the Wee Fest.
Right.
Because when we started the Wee Fest in '83 and in '84 and '85, huge amounts of people came from the Hoggsbreath to the Wee Fest, and I think they educated everyone else there on how to party correctly and really let their hair down and
how to do the dances, all the
it was just
pre-choreographed
crazy.
dances.
So much fun, so much history.
I was going to piggyback on what TD over here said, Tom Durray, about you being legendary in these parts. You know that you're legendary in a club when you walk in, and for like the last 40 years, your pictures are still on the wall. And there's a whole like mantra collage over here of you, Wee Fest pictures, stuff like that.
I'll tell you when I thought that maybe I might be a little famous around here is when they were doing some work on the men's room, so I had to go into the ladies' room, and I
Had to just.
Well, I was the only one.
I think you really wanted to.
Well, I saw writing on one of the stalls that said Tomcat is gay. So I thought, all right, I finally made it.
You know what? I think it might still be there.
We talked about that for a while, and then people, I know this is a really stupid story, but people responded to that, and it wound up at the top, Tomcat, and all people made their remarks all the way down to the bottom.
That was pre-social media thread. You had a thread, a comment thread.
Oh man, we're going to have things like that are going to pop into our head all day today.
Yeah.
Tom and I have such a long history. Tom came from a small town in northwestern Minnesota called Newfolden. There's probably not a lot of people that...
That's a real place?
Yeah.
That is a real place.
Newfolden.
50 miles from the Canadian border and 50 miles from the North Dakota border.
Yep.
We lived out on a farm that was 11 miles to the closest town.
Oh, wow.
They were northwest of Thief River Falls, and he and I...
Walked uphill to school both ways?
Oh, there's a long story there, I tell you.
Tommy has done really, really well from coming from that little small town. But they own a pretty big farm up there. His brother and his nephew still farm the land up there, but I think it was 1979. Yeah, it was when we first went up there, and we were talking. Tom and I kind of got to know each other, and deer hunting season was coming along, and Tom says, well, I got a big farm up in north of Thief River. I said, really? And so we talked about it. It turns out he's got hundreds of acres up there of what turned out to be some of the best deer hunting in the state. We have just how many years has that been now that we've been hunting up there? Since 79, so it's been like 43 years, something like that.
Right, and we go up there every year.
Every year.
It's like
shoot big deer.
And we've got a lot of pictures, and it's like an every year event that we just wait for each year to come up.
Danny, do you have a picture of that whitetail magazine with what we call the iron buck? The iron buck.
I think that got featured in Dave Miller's episode.
Yeah.
We showed that,
Okay.
so
We can take the magazine and just stand it up, Tom. Stand it
People
up
can
right
see
there.
that.
There you go.
we'll get a picture
That's
of
one
it.
of the bucks that we got many years ago, but
You
cool
can't
thing-
find good help these days.
the cool thing is I shot a beautiful 10-point last year with my bow, and bow hunting and rifle
Up on
hunting.
his land?
Yeah.
Okay.
Muzzleloader hunting is just a treat for us to go up there. We stay at a friend of ours, Tom Blajeski, has a big horse ranch, so we don't rough it by any means. And back in the day when we were all young and single, we made our mark on that town of Thief River Falls and Newfoundland. And I think they still talk about Hanky Panky, Hank Jr. I'll let someone else tell that whole story.
Yeah, that is quite a story. But a little bit about myself and how I got here back in the late 70s. My wife and I own the Hoggsbreath now. But years ago, like Tomcat said, I grew up on a farm in northwestern Minnesota, and it was a dairy farm.
Oh, it was at first, yeah.
This is a pretty long story, but I'll try and make it as short as possible.
You got all the time you need, brother.
I think we only have an hour show, right?
Two. It's 2 hours, yeah.
2 hours, huh? Well, we've got 2 hours of...
So we'll probably get through a tenth of your stories then, guys.
But anyway, yeah, I grew up on a dairy farm where we had 20 milking cows, and these cows had to be milked by hand. So it was quite a job, and I started doing that ever since I was probably about 5 years old. And it may sound like a story, but it is the gospel truth that I'd have to go out, help my dad milk the cows every morning, and then I'd have to get ready for school, and then I'd have to walk a mile to catch the school bus. And
just to get to the bus.
Just to get to the bus. And then, of course, go to school and then come home. I'd have to walk a mile back to the farm, and then I'd have to go out and do the chores again and milk another 20 cows by hand.
Because you got to milk them multiple times a day, right?
Right, twice a day.
Yeah. How many siblings do you have?
Just one
I almost
brother.
said did you have, but how many do you have?
One brother that was a little bit older than I was.
Okay, so it's just the three of you and your dad and your brother out there.
So it kept us pretty busy.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
We had every type of farm animal you could think of: chickens, cows, pigs, horses, you name it, we had it. So as I got older, ended up graduating high school there in Newfolden, and there was
How many were in your graduating class?
I was going to bring that up. But
Yes.
there was like 36 people
Wow.
in our
36.
graduating class. And
There's more people in your bar right now.
I had basically two choices. I could either stay a farmer or head to the big twin cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I did not want to be a farmer, so I took off for Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I've been here ever since, and that was back in about 1972.
Okay. So when you first came to the cities, what were you doing when you got here? I mean, you're fresh out of high school, right?
Right. I just picked up a lot of odd jobs here and there, and basically just enough to be able to get by, and
Enough to pay the rent?
right, and then I'll kind of piggyback into the story of how I came across this place.
Yeah, let's do that.
And that's another long story, but like you say, we got 2 hours, right?
Yeah, so I was just going to say, I want to make sure we go to that, and then we'll just roll right out of that into how you met this knucklehead and how that bond and relationship started. Because we skipped ahead to you guys killing stuff together, but we got to go back further than that. So,
Yeah, that was a lucky day for you, Tom.
so you're working odd jobs in the Twin City area.
I feel gifted every day.
Still till today.
Yes, I just working odd jobs here and there, and I think I was just 18 years old, maybe 19, and at that time in Minnesota you could get into the bars and nightclubs when you were 18,
Yep.
and I was over in Minneapolis down at a place on Lyndale called CC Tap,
I remember it well.
and I was shooting some pool in the back room. They had the pool tables in the back room, and I was a pretty good pool shooter back in the day, just because I had a lot of time back then. And I was shooting these 4 guys for some money,
Uh-oh.
and ended up taking
TD was a hustler.
some money from them, and they didn't like it too much, so they were gonna take me outside and kind of do a number on me.
Work you over a little bit.
And this big guy showed up, and he said, all right, now it's going to be 4-on-2 instead of 4-on-1. And anyway, these guys backed down, and the person was Big Steve, and that's how I met him. And
He just jumped right in there and said, I'm going to help this guy out here.
for some reason, he took a liking to me, and he didn't think the odds were fair enough. So, ever since then, we became friends and started to hang out together.
He's an awesome guy.
And AKA Big Steve, or the Hank Williams Jr. lookalike. Can't forget that.
We call him Sleepy Steve now.
Yeah.
I wish we had a picture to show. There's behind me. There's some. I don't know if George, are you able to take a camera over there and get some pictures of Big Steve off of those 2 murals over
Your
there?
lovely wife is doing it as we speak.
Oh, cool. Grab one of me and you off of that wall too, honey. So that's the history of Tommy Durray and Big Steve.
You're right. That's how I got down to the city here. That's how we met. And then from there, we just started going to a lot of bars, a lot of nightclubs, and it was a different scene back in the late 70s and all through the 80s, where people went out a lot, all the time, dancing, nightclubs, and a lot more drinking than there is right now.
We used to be able to have more than an eyedropper alcohol without going to jail.
So we carried on, and then we met up with a couple of other friends. One of them was a good friend of mine from northwestern Minnesota, and his name was Dave Czikowski, Polish name.
A lot of Polacks up in that country. Scandinavians and Polacks.
And then we ran into a friend of his, Jerry Agar, who actually did some managing and some owning of some nightclubs downtown in Minneapolis. So we had a little experience, and we thought we spent so much time partying and having fun in bars and nightclubs that we should try and own one ourselves. And basically, none of us had any experience, but we did know how to party.
That's half the battle in this
Right.
business.
It definitely was back then.
You've heard the old cliche, well, I know how to drink. I can own a bar. Or, I know how to eat. I can own a restaurant.
Right, right. There's a little more to it, I would assume you know now.
Yeah, there is. I haven't been able to shoot a game of pool for the last 40 years just because I've been that busy.
Yeah.
So we hooked up, all four of us, and actually we lived in a house over in Minneapolis off of 28th and Fremont for a couple of years together, and we decided we wanted to purchase a bar or a nightclub or whatever we could get into. But as we went around and talked to the owners where these bars were for sale, you know, I was about 19 years old at the time, and the other guys were probably 20, 25. And, you know, they would look at us and they would kind of laugh. And, you know, we didn't have any money. And so we didn't have a chance on getting into any of these places that we had looked at. So we had looked around for actually about 2 years, maybe, you know, a couple, 3 dozen of different spots, but nobody wanted to give us a chance. And then one day we came across this place, and it actually was closed for, about 6 months. So the owners were really excited about selling. And, you know, we didn't really have any money at the time, and it came across one of those deals that you come across once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So we bought the business, which there was no business here, so, you know, that didn't cost too much. But
What was it when you bought the building? Was it already a bar restaurant?
it was a bar, but it was mainly a restaurant. It was called the Cabaret.
Okay.
And before that, it was called the Canadian.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, it was one of those deals once in a lifetime you came across. So we bought it on a contract for deed, and they only wanted $10,000 down.
Wow.
And we paid, I think it was around $350,000 for the building and the land and everything.
And the land's a big part of that deal.
But they only wanted $10,000 down. So we were each going to come up with $2,500 and put it together to get the down payment and get going.
How many games of pool did you have to hustle to raise that, Tom?
Well, I did have to sell my car.
Oh, wow.
$2,500 back then in the mid to late 70s was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we were all going to put in $2,500 and purchase the bar and then just get going, open it up, and away we were going to go. Well, one of the guys couldn't come up with his $2,500. And so then it ended up only being 3 of us. So we had to find some more money, each of us, and we were luckily able to come up with it. Wrote him a check.
Here's the good part.
Yeah, wrote him a check for the down payment, and we got in here and started operating, but some things came up, and anyway, the check bounced.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But luckily, we had already been in here for a couple of weeks, and we had made enough money to cover the check. So they let us slide on that, and we just got in here, started operating, and luckily, right at that time, a few months after, disco became very popular, right when the movie Saturday Night Fever came out.
Sure, John Travolta.
And we were able to, by some people that we met in here that Steve had been drinking with, they gave us a lease to lease the equipment. So we were
I got
able
a
to-
picture of Steve if you want to look at the screen.
Yeah, let's shoot a picture. There's Big
Oh, yeah, there we
Steve,
go.
Oh, yeah.
right alongside of Hank Jr.
And Steve, he
Which
was,
is which?
Steve's on the left.
And Steve actually became the Upper Midwest Hank Williams Jr. lookalike. He entered a lot of contests. He won a lot of contests. And
He had a car that looked just like Hank's car, didn't he?
Yeah, he had an old Bentley, and I thought he became the national Hank Jr. lookalike.
Right, up in this national area up
Yeah.
here. But he, for a while there, for a couple of years, he actually thought he was Hank Williams Jr.
Oh man, there's some stories there.
Well, we'll get to that. But so you guys have the bar, you're up and rolling.
And right, disco just becomes very popular, and that's right when the movie Saturday Night Fever came out.
Yep.
And we were able to get a sound system put in with all the disco bulbs and disco lights and the sound system, which is still in here today, still operating. And we just became instantly busy from the late 70s, from the time we opened up all through the 80s and into the mid-90s. We had lines around the door, and we were the only discotheque in this whole area. So
No competition.
people just flocked here on a nightly basis. And
Yeah, they did.
Was TK in here with his chest hair hanging out?
Oh yeah.
well, that's I think that table right up there is where we met and started talking
Yeah.
about different things. And
Well, I can tell that story.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would be really curious to hear
At
that.
that point in time, Charlie Sinkler, who's a lot of people know around the Twin Cities, he owned a company called Entertech, Entertainment Technology.
Yeah.
And back at that time, it was called Freedom Electronics. Well, he installed sound and light into all of these dance clubs, and he designed dance clubs all over the United States. He was the big guy in that business. I mean, sound, lights, concept, and I worked with him quite a bit on conceptual design, giving a concept to different clubs like Bucko's in South Dakota, Peterbilt Truck. And anyway, one day Charlie says, "You got to come with me over to Hoggsbreath and meet these two guys." I don't know, you might have said these two jokers.
Yeah, that
He
sounds
says, "I
like
think
him.
you like them, so
So hold 1 second, Tom. Tom. It was you and Steve, and who was the third guy?
Dave Chikowski,
The
other
Polish.
guy, right? He was still here.
and he didn't
okay.
last too long."
No.
Because you didn't say which one didn't make the money.
Oh yeah, the one that didn't make the money was Jerry Agar.
He's probably kicking himself now.
But you go ahead with your
So
story
anyway,
there,
I
and then
hook
I'll
up with
follow
Charlie,
up.
and we come over here, and I meet Tommy, and I had been at that point in time helping them design clubs and training disc jockeys literally from coast to coast.
I was going to say, this must be when you got back from being out west.
No,
You're running Colorado and all that?
that was a little bit after.
Okay.
But I was actually at that point in time, so we all went out drinking. I remember the club we went to downtown. We just went to a bunch of clubs and we're drinking tequila. So Tom, Big Steve, and myself, and Charlie, we all bonded that night. I mean, we just had a ball just going from club to club. And shortly thereafter, I left for Florida to play baseball. I was in the Pittsburgh Pirates training camp. It was a winter ball, and it was in Bradenton, Florida. And then from there, I went to Aruba because Charlie had a club down there that needed an entertainment director.
Sure.
So I went to Aruba, and I was living the life down there. I mean, my God, that's one of the coolest places in the world. Well, I got
Check out Tom living the life, yeah.
yeah, I was living the life back then.
Look at you and the Judds.
I don't know if I can tell that story. Maybe I can.
Not
tell
yet.
that story.
Not yet. Save it. Not yet.
So anyway, I was in Aruba living the life, and lieutenant governor of the island's up for re-election, unemployment on the island. I got booted. So I'm back here in Minnesota, no baseball contract, no big job, and I had worked a lot of clubs as a disc jockey. So I thought I'm going to come up to the Hoggsbreath because my mother wasn't living too far from here, and I was staying with her. And I come up, and Tommy was here, and I was watching all that was going on, and in my head I'm thinking, God, they could do this better, and we could do that.
You're analyzing.
Yeah, analyzing. And,
Every time we go somewhere, Tom, I can see your brain doing that. He's always analyzing. Well, they could just...
owning restaurants and being in this business, you go into a public place, and that's what you do. Whether you like it or not, you're analyzing the place.
When we go to lunch, TD, he will do that at like these tiny little diners. He'll be like, well, if they did this or had this set up like that.
So anyway, he and I got to talking, and he asked me, he said, well, what are you doing? I said, I just came back from Aruba, and I got nothing going on. I said, you need a disc jockey? I could spin records 1 or 2 nights a week. And he said, yeah, we do. And so that, in short order, became every night of the week.
That was your interview right there.
Yeah.
Do you have a
We
pulse?
already hit it off. And I had been working at Pudge's and Eddie Webster's and the Oz and all these different clubs that we...
So you knew who he was?
Right.
Okay. Had some
And,
familiarity.
So, man, I got to work in here, and, the crowd was really a great, great crowd. Like, if you were a comedian, this was the kind of crowd. They were really responsive, and, I was used to working some really high-end, upper-class clubs, but, man, I felt like I fit right in here. And not that the Hoggsbreath is low-class by any means, but it's just that kind of blue-collar...
Yeah.
Back then, it was really the place to go, and it was so hip. And every night, the night went by in an hour. We're working and the place is packed. And I'll just take it one step further. I started a show. I said, Tommy, I think we could do a rock and roll night. Most every night was dance music, disco music. I said, I think, I'd mix in some rock and roll. Everyone went wild. And that was back in the day of AC/DC and Van Halen and Bob Seger, all those classic, great rock and roll songs.
Yeah.
So we started a rock and roll night, and you could not get in the door. There was a line, like Tommy said, out the door, around the corner, every Tuesday night. Well, every Tuesday night, I would mix in some Charlie Daniels, some Leonard Skinner, Marshall Tucker, and just some high-energy country, right?
Yeah.
And the crowd would go crazy. They'd be out there dancing and jumping around, and it was nuts. So then I said, Tom, I think we can do a country night. And he said, well, what night? I think we can pull it off on a Monday, because, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday covered themselves. So,
Disco
Mondays
stuff.
are typically dead, and Tuesdays were typically dead.
Well, like
now we got Tuesdays just going crazy.
Yeah.
And so the first Monday night we did it, we had a pretty good crowd.
Well, I was going to say, even now, in today's day, Mondays are tough for everybody.
Right.
Oh yeah, and that's what I was kind of thinking. How are we going to try and pull this off on a Monday night?
You probably thought he was crazy when he said it.
I did.
The first Monday night we did it, we had a fun crowd. It wasn't big by any means. Guys were throwing their hats on the floor and doing a Mexican hat dance on them, and they were just getting out there. And I'm like, well, the second Monday you couldn't get in the door. And so now that carried on for literally over 30 years.
Wow.
So we had what all the clubs hope for and never get. We had a packed Tuesday night, and we had a packed Monday night.
Yeah.
And then all the rest of those, Tom was in the Hoggsbreath was doing great numbers every night of the week.
Yeah.
I don't even know, Sunday was probably even fairly well. I don't recall, but so that's kind of how I got involved with the Hoggsbreath. And then who would have known that in 1979 I would have wound up being here till just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Well, over 35 years.
Despite trying to leave a couple times.
You did retire a handful of times, but you always came back again.
And while I was here, I even opened my own club in River Falls, but I still came back on Mondays to do it. And I moved to Aspen, Colorado for a year and did a show out there.
Got a few celebrities kicked out of bars out there.
We did. And then Watertown, South Dakota, and a couple other places, just doing new clubs. But I always wound up back here because this became my home.
Yeah.
This was. Forgive me, I know that was kind of long-winded, but that was kind of the story.
Well, country western music got very popular for a few years there, where
Urban Cowboy.
Right, when that movie came out.
Or John Travolta.
Again, John Travolta. What a trendsetter.
Yes, he was too, because every club in the Twin Cities wanted to do a country western night.
Yeah.
And we actually were doing, I think, at one point, 5 country western nights a week. Wow. Here at the Hoggsbreath, everybody was dressed up in their cowboy boots and cowboy hats. And
Is everybody wearing cowboy boots, TD? Everybody?
I know I am.
I am too.
You should see
TD's boots, they're hot.
Yeah.
They are hot.
And
Slip on the table there, Tom.
Slip on cowboy boots.
I remember when you used to be flexible enough to get that foot up there.
well, I remember when we used to go out back in those days too. I used to actually wear spurs on these cowboy boots.
You could.
I mean, we were that into country western music.
Look at
and
those things, hot.
Right?
Those are very nice
Right where they
boots.
were, Tommy. Put them back up there. There
What
you go.
size are you?
I think these are 12s.
Too bad for you.
Yeah. So yeah, we had an uproarious.
You could wear spurs into a club now. You get stopped at the door.
Yeah.
Take those off.
Yeah, we could get away with a lot more back then in those days, but
Yeah.
For everyone else's safety, you're going to have to remove them spurs.
I'm not gonna lie, I've never been attracted to shoes so much on a man. Looking good, TD. And just so everyone knows who's listening or watching, we're just using initials, right? TD,
Oh,
TK,
yeah. Let's maybe I just spend 2 seconds on that.
just 2 seconds.
Right. So I've always had this crazy thing of always just giving people weird nicknames. So TK,
Me too.
obviously, since you and I have been friends forever, and TD, since the first time I started working for you back in the day. KG, Danny G, DJ Danny G.
It literally took me years to figure out who KG was.
KG, yeah.
How
George?
stupid is that?
Her
yeah.
brother.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was
You
like,
don't-
who is that?
You don't always get an easy initial deal, though. Sometimes they're a lot more complicated
Yeah.
nicknames, depending on what's appropriate for that person. Because there are some that have nicknames that we can't say on this podcast.
Correct.
Yeah,
PG-13.
PG-13, yeah. Keep it somewhat clean. So you guys have this great run of country music going in here, 5 nights a week. People are packing in. It's the heyday of country music nationally, right?
Well, that's another topic I was going to bring up. You know, we were so successful on a Monday and Tuesday night. Club owners from all over they would walk up and introduce themselves. Hi, my name is so-and-so from Phoenix or wherever they were from. They wanted to know how in the world we could be packing a club like this.
You guys were on TV, right?
Yeah.
Entertainment Tonight
It
special?
was so
Yes,
popular
yes.
that Tom and I were up at the upper bar one day, and the phone rings, and I said, "Tomcat, it's for you." And this is so-and-so from Entertainment Tonight. We're the Chicago division. And I'm like looking at the phone. I'm like, all right, who is this? She says, no, this is Mary, it was Mary something. And
You still remember that?
I think it's Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. You know what, and I feel so bad. I have pictures of that person and the Entertainment Tonight being here, and I left them at home. So maybe on another broadcast we'll put those pictures up. Maybe we'll jump back into that topic. But Entertainment Tonight came here, and so that Monday night I told the crowd, I said, Entertainment Tonight's going to be here next week. And they're all like, yeah, right. You know, I mean, it was a big deal, but
Yeah.
Entertainment Tonight. I said, I know a lot of you don't believe me, but I encourage you to show up, but get here early next week. We never had to encourage anybody to get here early because they would always get here at like 6 or 7 o'clock. And so lo and behold, the big entertainment semis were out in the parking lot, and they had all their cameras and lighting in here, and they were doing interviews with everybody, and I still have I should probably get that. I still have it on a VHS.
I bet you do.
I better get that transferred over to.
Can you tell our listening audience what a VHS is? Just, you know.
I've got a lot of old WeFest and that. There's a bunch of stuff on VHS. I've got it all wrapped up real nice, but I probably should get that transferred before they all deteriorate, if they haven't already.
Well, because they can do that. They just put it on a DVD. And
Right, I don't know.
then we can use it actually in the program.
Right.
Because I think you referenced it at one other episode.
Yeah, we'll get that done. So,
So they come here and there's
So,
their vans out front.
yeah, and they interviewed me. They interviewed everybody, and
And it was packed, obviously.
And one of the topics they were going after is country music and drinking.
yeah, they came to the right spot.
It feels like a trap. Feels like a trap, right?
It is a trap.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, whatever their topic was, it just really didn't matter. The Hoggsbreath and the Rowdy Cowboy Show was featured on a segment of Entertainment Tonight with Mary Hart.
That was a big deal.
It was
It really
real
was.
huge, yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I still remember that, and I think one of the most famous songs that you played up here, and Tomcat, he almost had like a following, a cult following of customers that would come in.
Of women.
Every
Just kidding.
Oh, you're half kidding.
every Monday night, you know, just to be here and hang out, and they wanted to be here on Monday night. And he could get them to do just about anything he wanted the whole crowd to do. I remember one time, and I think it was a song by John Anderson, Swingin', where everybody was laying, the dance floor was packed, and everybody laid down on their backs and kicked their feet up in the air. It was one of those sights that you'll never forget.
I vaguely remember
We had
some
Matt
of that.
Mattoon from the Wee Fest on one of the episodes, and there were some pictures of them at Wee Fest doing that swinging dance. And he referenced how the Hoggs Breath was the originator of all these dances, all the John Anderson, all the ones that we did for Bocephus, like all that stuff.
We finally referred to that group of people, and there was, over 30 of them. They came up to the Wee Fest in '84, and we had John Anderson there, and they're all out there doing the swinging routine, and they had Hoggsbreath, Moron, Tabernacle Choir.
Yeah.
And, it's just one of those things that we threw out there, and they adopted it, and so that was the Moron Tabernacle Choir, and they were all there in the front row of the Wee Fest doing the swing. John Anderson, we had him at the Wee Fest 10 times. Maybe 11, but every time he loved coming to the Wee Fest, because after that, everyone would just come up on stage and do the swinging routine with him live, and that was just crazy, crazy fun, and he loved that. He loved that a lot. I mean, we'd have the whole crowd, 50, 60,000 people doing swinging, which started right here. Yeah, a lot of things started right here.
Yeah, we were kind of a trendsetter.
Yeah, we were.
Well, so how did
It
it?
might sound funny, but
Where did the rowdy cowboy thing come from? Because obviously we know now that the most modern version, the one that KG and I ran, and now Danny G and KG run, is
Kinda. COVID screwed things up.
pseudo. It's on hiatus.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's this mantra now of the Rowdy Cowboy Show, and everyone just calls it the RCS family. It's such a close-knit, tight group of people that there's a special Facebook group for RCS fans that's got thousands of people on it. They're always looking to see when events are coming and stuff like that. So how do you get to where we are now, and then looking at you guys who started this whole thing 50 years ago? 70? My math isn't good when I'm drinking, so.
it's a good thing that the camera only comes this far, because he's going to have sore shins by the time.
I only got one, so aim well.
Excuse me, I got to adjust my chair.
I got a quick question. When was Entertainment Tonight here? Do you remember what
The
year?
year was 89 or 90.
Yeah, somewhere in there, 89 or 90.
Okay.
So where did the Rowdy Cowboy name element come in to the whole thing? 'Cause what did you call it to start with? Just Country Night at Hoggsbreath?
Well, it was called the Rowdy Tomcats Rowdy Cowboy Show.
Right away.
Right away.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
Right off the bat, I just thought that sounds like a fun name.
Yes, it is. Historic, as it turns out.
And speaking of the Rowdy Cowboy Show, which we do talk about a lot because obviously of our involvement in it, we're planning on doing, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as all the COVID restrictions are gone, we're planning on doing a Rowdy Cowboy Show reunion here at the Hoggsbreath.
I was just going to say, we got to get his commitment. We have him live right now. You're live. This is not being recorded to be edited later.
And we're gonna
You're on
do
the
it
internet live.
Saturday night.
Will you commit to us doing a reunion show here?
Oh, definitely. We need to do a reunion show for sure. I'm not sure when, though.
Right.
Like you say, the COVID protocols kind of dictate what's going on.
Right.
I'm thinking maybe sometime this fall.
Right now, we're only at 75% capacity, and all the tables have to be 6 feet apart.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, we have to close at 11 p.m. So it's we're kind of really
when we get it done,
limited
we get
right now
to it. I think you might have had a good idea.
I think it was actually Danny's idea. I don't want to steal her thunder.
Put in a tent outside
In the parking lot.
and then maybe we can do the Danny G Rowdy Cowboy Show music out in the parking lot during the day, and then shut that down and open up the club and have everyone come in here and just a thought, but I mean, we'll sit down and figure it out. But
Yeah, we'll
it
definitely
will be
get
a
it
big
figured
event.
out.
What's that?
I say, yeah, we'll definitely get that figured
Yeah, we'll
out.
put our heads together and figure out a fun day and a fun evening, and all of the ex-rowdy cowboy disc jockeys that we've had, like Knucklehead and
He means
Yeah,
Red.
there has been a few, right?
unfortunately we lost one of them, Greg DeVolis.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get St. John, Ricky in here, and
Shooter.
Kid and Shooter, and you know who else is going to come?
Shane.
He's saying kid now. I'm just so proud of you.
I am so proud,
He hasn't
too.
said Boy George in like 4 years.
You know?
Well, the show's not over. Well, so I want you folks out there that are listening or watching, you be the judge. He's wearing a cowboy outfit. He's got a cowboy hat on. His nickname is Kid George, and I'm calling him Kid Cowboy George. Now, doesn't that make sense? He's got a cowboy outfit on. Boy George is kind of a funny thing. Kid Cowboy George.
No.
His memory's a little sketchy because
Yeah.
it was
It's
just
just
Boy
Cowboy
George when he would walk in.
It was Cowboy George.
Because right away we were
Kid
joking,
George.
we were like, he doesn't look anything like that guy from Culture Club. Nothing like him. Nothing like him.
I forgot where I was. I know we were talking about something.
Yeah, well, I'll just finish up on my story a little bit.
Yeah.
Since TK, you're a little long-winded.
I know.
Yeah,
That's
half the
fair.
show's
That's
over.
not always the case, because typically he's talking more, but when it's something close to my heart and a big part of my life, like the Hoggsbreath and you, then I am a little long-winded. And my goodness,
It's more like me cat wrangling.
cat
Right.
wrangling.
Cat wrangling.
I
Yeah.
know. I've been around
You
this
do.
for a lot of years. So,
I can get over there and kick you in the ass, too.
but anyway, how I ended up owning the place here by myself, it's like you were asking, Shane. There was 3 of us that were involved. The 4th person couldn't come up with the $2,500, so then
He didn't have a car to sell.
he didn't have anything to sell, really. So he couldn't come up with the money, so he was out. But he did work here for an extended period of time. Great. But
Who
then,
didn't work here?
But then,
Yeah, who didn't work here?
yeah, that's true. But then there was 3 of us, myself, Dave Chakowski, and Big Steve, and we operated it for a few months, and then Big Steve fell in love with this gorgeous girl. I mean, she was,
Steve was a good-looking man.
yeah, and
Big,
she
half-breed.
she was just like
Oh, he was.
unbelievable, and she wanted him to move out to California.
Okay.
So he wanted us, Dave and I, to buy his portion of the bar out.
Okay.
So we went ahead and did that.
2,500?
It was a little bit more than that.
Okay.
So he left with this gorgeous gal. Her name was Brandy.
Oh,
And
I remember
you
that.
remember
She's a
her?
fine girl.
Yeah, she
What a
was.
good wife she would be.
And
Great song.
I don't really blame him because she was that beautiful.
Looking Glass, right? Is that what that one is?
Yeah.
So then it was just Dave and I that were operating it for, maybe another 2 or 3, maybe 4 months. And he had some problems going on where he was really a ladies' man. I mean, gals would look at him and they'd go home with him that day.
Wow.
He was that
Are we
good.
still talking about Steve?
No.
We
Just
moved,
making
we
sure.
moved on. So he was a gorgeous looking guy, and the ladies just went crazy for him. But he had a problem where he would be dating and having affairs with
Three or four at the same time?
married women.
Oh, no, that's not good.
And a lot of the local people around town here. So the men would come up here just looking for him, wanted to kick his butt.
Thank you, Lynn.
So
Speaking of hot,
we'd have to come.
Right.
We'd have to come up here, and have to fight all these people because they were looking for Dave, because they wanted to beat him up because he was having affairs with their wives. So
Like, I just want to run my business.
yeah. So it got to a point where it said, hey, we loved each other and we were brothers, but this just isn't working out. So you either buy me out or I'll buy you out, and we'll just still be friends and go our separate ways. And because I knew he wasn't going to change, he was just that type of person.
Well, he's probably like in his prime, right?
Oh yeah, we all were,
Yeah,
so,
right.
So we just decided that I'd buy him out, just basically because I was doing all the business aspects of the business. So
Yeah, he wasn't going to be able to do it without you.
right. So then I ended up buying his portion of the club out, and then I ended up owning it myself and operated it for about another 6 or 8 months. Well, then Big Steve comes back, and Brandy had dumped him.
Oh, no. Broke his heart, I'm sure.
So he was pretty bummed out, and he wanted to buy back in, and I said, hey, we're brothers.
I love you, but
Yeah, this is business, so I said, you'll have a job here as long as you want it, and, I still love you, and we're still the best friends in the world.
boy, he milked that offer for about 40 years.
He's still here today. I mean, not today, but
Right.
now, right?
Yeah, he's not working now just because we're not open late.
Yeah.
He always worked the night shifts, but
Hey, that's a nice large human being to have here on the night shift.
he's a great people person too.
He is.
Yeah, he is.
So
We love.
of
I
fun.
mean, Tom, from when our sort of generation of Rowdy Cowboy Show was here, that we love him. So much so that we'd make him part of our act when we would be here. He'd have his post up there in the front by the front door where he could be watching people coming in and all that stuff and monitoring the whole club from his sort of perch over there. And we used to give him a hard time about watching reruns of Murder, She Wrote. Yeah. And that turned into started calling him Sleepy Steve. So it was like everybody just started calling him Sleepy Steve when they'd come in. And you'd hear him yelling from the corner over there because he didn't have a microphone. He'd be yelling,
yeah. So yeah, he's one in a million.
He is. What a great guy. It's too bad he's not here because I'd love to get him in as a cameo.
Yeah, well, maybe sometime we'll do another one here and have
Get
Big
you both
Steve
in. Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be really fun.
We're having so much fun with our guest group as a whole. We sat down and we put together this list of people we wanted to have on the podcast, and we just knew that there'd be so much that we could talk about that we'd have to have everybody back at least a couple times.
I think Sleepy Steve would have some amazing stories to tell too.
I was going to say his perspective, right, KG, on the stories that are being told right now, looking at it from the outside. I want to hear about Brandy. He's going to tell us about Brandy.
Yeah, and I remember I can still see that picture in my mind right out here on Demont Street. We were closing up at night, and I don't know, they had a kind of a fight, and Brandy's walking down the street, and Steve's running after her like this, Brandy!
That is funny.
He goes under the street light, and I could just see him, his picture of him all the
Just
way
giving
down
us more
Demont.
ammunition.
It's one of those things you'll never forget, and
Needless to
That's
say,
pretty-
we've all given Steve a lot of grief over the years, and now we have more stuff to give him grief about.
So, Tom, when you obviously there's a lot of popularity with the club. You're doing stuff that nobody's doing, like you said before, the trendsetter in the region, which is fantastic. It sounds like from there, you guys, aside from the fact that he worked for you or whatever, you formed this personal relationship where you started hunting together and all that. How did that come about where you guys became buddies, aside from just sort of like boss co-worker or boss worker?
Well, we always had a lot of fun together, and it wouldn't.
Some of it sober?
Yeah, it wouldn't end. We'd have fun here,
Not much.
but it was also the after parties after work, because that was the thing to do back then, where you'd operate the club, and you had to close at 1 p.m. back then, and then everybody went over to somebody's house and partied for the
Over
rest of
on
the night.
The lake there with Bonnie Raitt
So
and her brother.
My wife loves Bonnie Raitt, and no offense to her because she's a talented artist, I can't listen to her.
Oh,
It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I just can't do it.
as far as Tommy and our relationship goes, I was in the industry for years before he got into it. And I was doing conceptual design and helping club owners get on their feet, so I had a fair amount of knowledge. So he never treated me like an employee, because we were always bouncing ideas off of each other. And I think we always just had this mutual respect, and he never bossed me around or anything like that. So we were
You missed your chance.
we were just really good friends. I mean, we just hit
It's
it
too
off.
late now.
Yeah, nope.
But I don't know. I can remember the year that I came back, '79. I don't remember the exact, but the Pirates. I was playing in the Pirates facility down in Bradenton,
Florida.
And they were in the World Series that year.
Okay.
And I remember seeing them, watching them on TV here at the Hoggsbreath. Guy, one of your bouncers, Schmitty, was happier than heck because Baltimore had won 3 games in a row.
Okay.
And I came down and I said, well, Baltimore's not going to win. He said, what do you know? He says, what do you know about baseball? And why would you even make that statement?
He didn't know what he was walking into
I
there.
walked out to my car and I grabbed a couple photos. One of them was myself and Chuck Tanner, who was the skipper of the year that year, went to the World Series. I said, well, I played a little baseball with that team this year. And he's looking at the picture, and he looked up at the TV, and Chuck Tanner was on the TV. He's like, what? And anyway, Pittsburgh won that game and won the next 3 games, and they won the World Series.
Wow.
So I garnered a little respect from that.
You should have had a little cash on that prediction.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, we just spend a lot of time together, not only working, but having fun out of work, just doing different things, and especially our hunting trips up to northwestern Minnesota. And it was kind of Tom's idea, because I kind of grew up there, so it wasn't really anything special to me. 'Cause
Yeah.
I would go out in the woods and hunt every day as a little kid.
With a knife.
And a slingshot.
He'd hit him with his car and then run out there, throw him in the trunk.
But
then
then
they'd come alive. Sorry, that's another story.
Ron White's got a whole. You guys, you know Ron
Yeah,
White,
yeah.
comedian. He's got a whole skit that he does, or piece of his act, where he talks about his cousin, I think it is, that talks about how crazy he is about hunting and putting all this like scent blocker on and the camo and the face paint and hiding in the woods and all that stuff. And he goes, I just hit one with my van doing 55 with my headlights on bright and the horn blowing. Woo, that's an elusive little creature. I'm like, it's not that easy.
But maybe, could we get a picture of this up on the screen?
Yep, definitely.
Give it to my lovely assistant, Lynn.
But just a little background on this picture. The hunting area up there, the big buck, the iron buck, that was shot in 1991 by Paul Pappy Wolf, which is a great friend of everyone.
Yeah, God rest his soul.
Yes. And that was the biggest deer shot in the entire U.S. in 1991.
Wow.
It was a typical, and it scored 188.
Jeez.
This one.
There's the picture of that.
Here we go,
deer.
on the whitetail.
And you got to realize,
yeah.
Paul, or Pappy, is 6'4", and he's not pushing that deer forward to get a bigger shot or make the horns look bigger.
I think only fishermen do that, right, KG? Stick the fish out like that.
Deer hunters too.
Make it look bigger?
You need fish hands, yeah.
The iron
fake
buck, though,
hands.
is just a fun. We shot a lot of really nice deer up over the years.
Yeah, and a little background on that iron buck. Or you guys probably talked about it.
We did with Dave Miller, yeah.
Okay.
A little bit, but go ahead.
But yeah, that people had hunted that same buck for over 5 years.
Wow.
And many good hunters had taken a lot of shots at that buck, and for some reason they just couldn't put it down, and that's how it got the name the Iron Buck. And Paul Wolf was a great hunter, and came across him that morning in 1991, and he was fortunate to put him down.
Morning.
Yeah, we heard the story about how he tried to hide it with his jacket or whatever it was.
Right.
So tell us about this picture now, because we've got that. This up on the screen.
This next picture, this is when we first started hunting up there, and there was about, everybody wanted to go up there, and there was about 10 or 12 of us would end up going up there for just the weekend, and the season up there was only 2 days. The season opened up on Saturday morning at sunrise and closed at Sunday at sunset.
Wow.
So this is a picture of the deer we got in those 2 days that we were up there hunting one year.
For those of you that are wondering why they look like they're standing up.
Well, I was going to say rigor mortis, or what's going on there?
Yeah, we had them hanging from the hooves. And, when we cut the first one down, after it kind of hit the ground, it kind of flopped up on its legs like that. And so we just kind of lined them all up for a photo. It's not that we're trying to be funny or disrespect the animals. They froze like that, and so that's how we just lined them up to get a good shot.
Well, all of them except that little doinker in the middle there are really nice bucks.
A lot of really nice deer in there.
Yeah.
The iron buck's not even in that picture.
So that's kind of how we started going up there hunting, and it just has continued now for almost like 40 years that we've been going up there on a yearly basis.
Yeah, I guess if I were to think about it, I think we started going up there in 79. Yeah, we did. 79, and this is 01, so about 42 years actually. Wow. But that's 42 years of so much fun.
You know what? We're going to talk all about that and some of the fun stories that both of you have from those trips and other trips. But we got to take a little break.
Okay.
As I said, we got to keep the lights on. But Tom, you're writing the checks around here, so we don't get to keep these lights on. But we do have sponsors that we have to credit. So we're going to take a little break, gentlemen. Let you empty your bladders and refill your glasses. And we will be right back with Boots and Backstraps.
All right.
All right.
Boots and Backstraps is proudly brought to you by Hoggs by Shane. Making your move with the Hoggs by Shane team means an unparalleled customer service experience. That level of service is the foundation of this RE/MAX Results referral-based business. Our driven team of experts communicate with their clients every step of the way, ensuring a memorable experience from the first conversation through your closing day. Go to HoggsByShane.com for more information. Let's get you home. If you would like to sponsor the Boots and Backstraps podcast, or you have an interest in joining our team, send us an email to bootsandbackstrapspodcast@gmail.com.
All right, while we're on break, feel free to listen to this song by one of our guests, R.J. Graff.
Dust trail going down a back road, about a quarter mile from Crow River Creek. 10 legs waiting to work, weeks over blue lights at the corner fleet. Now the boys pull up in their fancy trucks and the girls in their daddy's Jeeps. Got a little honey maker, a hottie high breaker, come on, go ride with me. If you got a big truck, jack it up. If you got a cold beer, drink it up. If you got some country, turn it up, turn it up. If you got a tractor, crank it up. If you got a bonfire, light it up. If you're getting redneck, turn it up, turn it up. Getting buck wild where most of you tearing up the alfalfa field. Tailgates dropping the bonfires high like a coon dog on a trail. Well, lately Joe's dancing, mama don't know, stuck out here raising hell. Now there's just one rule here, anything goes, and what goes we'll never tell. If you got a big truck, jack it up. If you got a cold beer, drink it up. If you got some country, turn it up, turn it up. If you got a tractor, crank it up. If you got a bonfire, light it up. If you're getting redneck, turn it up, turn it up. We got the trucks with the big wheels, party in the cornfield, speakers bumping all the way up. Dixie Giant with their boots on, we gotta get our drink on. Tailgate down, but we turning it up. Miller Lite, High Life, and a little bit of moonshine. Duffel Bill Ruffles, ass kicking in the moonlight. Redneck remix, Kane gonna bring it, bonfire gonna burn it. We all gonna sing it, yeah. Yeah. Now turn it up. Yo, RJ, talk to him, son. This is for the country girls in the backyard. This is for the country boys in the big trucks. This is for the country crowd getting down. So come on, come on, come on. If you got a big truck, jack it up. If you got a cold beer, drink it up. If you got some country, turn it up, turn it up. If you got a tractor, crank it up. If you got a bonfire, light it up. If you're getting redneck, turn it up, turn it up. Turn it up.
This next one is by the Farmer's Daughters.
Now there's coffee on my nightstand, flowers in my kitchen, kisses on my forehead. What am I missing? Just yesterday I said we were finished. 'Cause in 2 weeks you'll be tearing me down. In 2 weeks, still in my crown. This routine makes it easier to stay. Now there's notes on the mirror saying you care. Sorry all day, all up in my hair, but I'm not falling again. 'Cause in 2 weeks you'll be tearing me down. In 2 weeks, still in my crown. This routine makes it easier to stay. In 2 weeks, I'm down on my knees. In 2 weeks, ready to leave. This routine makes it easier to wait. The flowers will die and so will I, 'cause I'm too weak. In 2 weeks, you'll be tearing me down. In 2 weeks, still in my crown. This routine makes it easier to stay. In 2 weeks, down on my knees. 2 weeks, I'm ready to leave. This routine makes it easier to wait. In 2 weeks, I'm ready to leave. But I'm too weak. Falling in love is just a few weeks away.
We're back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Boots and Backstraps. Thanks for the little intermission there. You know, you got to make your bladder gladder. You're sitting up here having cocktails. Poured perfectly by the Hoggsbreath staff, I'll have you know. They know how to mix
Great.
drinks around here.
Great to be back.
So, on
I
the
had to go to
Oh,
my
I like those
glasses.
glasses. Wow.
I wear these at all of the shoots because the lights are so bright, and I have this eye condition now. And
we call it his Ronnie Millsap look.
Okay,
Ronnie
yeah.
Millsap
Do we?
look.
I thought we called it,
Ray Charles, is that what you're
Bernie's.
saying? Bernie. Oh,
Weekend
Weekend
at
at Bernie's.
Bernie's,
That's
yeah.
right.
It's almost, they're almost as nice as your boots.
TD with the zinger.
It's the first time I didn't wear boots because I knew boots were not going to be in the shot.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That is true. So on the break, gentlemen, we had music videos from former guests, Lady Joe from the Farmer's Daughters and R.J. Graff. Had those videos in the break so that folks could see those again, what great guests they were. But today, we've got Tom Durray, the owner, proprietor, master of everything here at the Hoggsbreath in Little Canada.
High-end bingo caller.
High end.
Yes. Master of Ceremonies. And again, it's great to be here. And thanks for coming in here with your program here. It's a great setup. And again, the world-famous Tomcat is here. And
World
yourself,
famous.
Shane, and all the production staff. And everyone out there watching, it's great to have you tuning in here at the Hoggsbreath.
Well, the historic Hoggsbreath, I would say. You know, we've talked about this 100 times over the years. You know, clubs of this nature typically have a shelf life of about 2 years. And Tom has been so diligent. I mean, when we're not deer hunting, and he takes maybe another vacation every year, but he's here every day, every morning he's here. I think he finally takes a couple of days off now, but for the
No,
most
he
part
doesn't.
of
Come
35
on.
years, for up to about 35 years, I think he's been here every morning, very diligent, one of the best operators you'll ever meet.
And I can speak to that because I get in this area a fair amount, and it seems like every time I drive past here, Tom, the place next door has got a different name.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, they have changed just this past couple of years, and we've been fortunate to be able to stay here and operate it. And, you know, I contribute a lot to the great staff that we have here. The community is excellent. They've supported us through many different times.
Trials and tribulations,
yeah.
yep.
You know, there's been some ups and there's been some downs, and, you know, the community has stuck by us. And the latest, of course, is the pandemic that basically crippled everyone.
How are you guys handling that as far as, I mean, obviously, when you and I spoke earlier, you mentioned that the couple times it's been shut down, but when you've been able to reopen, how are you guys handling that to ensure that the clients that come in and your customers are going to be safe and having that same kind of high-end experience?
Well, it all started back in March on St. Patrick's Day in 2020. When we had to close down the pandemic, everyone was afraid. Nobody really knew what COVID was. And so we had to shut down on St. Patrick's Day. Unfortunately, that was the biggest day of the year for us. Usually on that day, we take in approximately $20,000 on that day. And I think, if I recall right, I think we took in $2,000 that day we had to close down.
Wow.
Takes a lot to pay the bills in an operation like this.
It does.
But we survived, and I contribute that a lot to our staff here. Our general manager, Eric Lara, has done a great job. And also our floor managers, Pat and Wade. They've all pitched in and really went above and beyond what they had to do. And we have followed from the very start. We've followed all the CDC guidelines, wearing masks, and we still wear them today, even though 95% of our staff is vaccinated, and we're working on the other 5%. It's a handful of employees that don't have emails or they don't have a ride, and we're working with them to get them a ride to find them a spot where they can get vaccinated. But we've always followed all the CDC guidelines. All our employees take a temperature before they start work.
Very important with food service especially, right?
Right. And, our philosophy here is that we follow the CDC guidelines to whatever they want us to do, because that's how we're going to stay in business. And we've had a lot of response from our customers that come in when they see that we're following all the guidelines. They feel safe.
Yeah.
And they'll come back again. And as anyone knows in business, repeat customers are what you need to continue. So we do the 6-foot distancing in all our tables, 2 people sitting up at the bar, and then you have to distance 6 feet also around the bar. And we've continued that all along. And over the past, I think it's a year and 4 months, I believe, since the pandemic started, we've had 1 employee that has contracted COVID. And
That's pretty good odds.
yeah, and we have probably about 40 total employees, so that's a pretty good average, and that happened real early. I think it was maybe a month into the pandemic.
Sure.
And again, we got shut down, and basically, unfortunately, we had to lay off all the employees.
Yep. Well, everybody got shut down.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
something you guys did.
Right. Yeah. Everybody got shut down, all the bars and restaurants, and
Yep.
basically all the businesses.
Yep.
The first time around. And it was very fortunate that the community, we stayed open for pickup, curbside, call in, and then we had delivery service. And
What about shots? Can they get shots to go?
no, they couldn't at that time. No shots.
Darn it.
And
When you say at that time, does that mean shots to go now? Or
no, there's still not shots to go.
You could put them in the
Just
little
checking,
like
just checking.
ketchup things with the lid on the top, like a Jello shot. Could do that.
what size
Big-
shot? Because Hoggsbreath is really good at giving a hearty shot, within
right.
guidelines, obviously.
We don't want to talk about overpouring now, do we?
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Did you,
they
just,
they
you see
just
his
know.
blood pressure go up a little?
Oh,
He's
no,
like,
no,
"All
no,
right,
no.
check my books again.
No, no.
I'm like,
Safety first,
don't
but
say that.
they take care of us. How about that?
So when we were shut down, we had great support from the community around here on people coming in, ordering takeout. And we just had a couple of people in the kitchen. My wife and I ran the front of the house.
Jossie, she's famous as well.
Right, and just a little story about that I'll throw in there. We actually met here at the Hoggsbreath
Really?
back in, I think it was 1978. And she came up and asked me to dance one night. And
Did she know that you own the bar?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
Actually, her father let her know that there were 3 young, good-looking guys that just opened a discotheque down on Rice Street. So I think she came up here looking for someone.
She had her.
She knew what she was getting into.
Yeah, she had her fishing pole in hand.
Yeah.
Came in here, threw her best bait out on the dance floor, and there you were.
So we went out and danced, started dating, and we dated for about 7 years and ended up getting married. And
7 years, Tom.
well, yeah, it took me a long time to figure out what I needed to do.
I'll tell you.
Tommy doesn't do anything fast, as you know.
I do know. I was going to let that one go, but since you brought it up, I think there's still a light up here that's burned out from 10 years ago. I'm just kidding. No, I was just going to say, in today's day and age, it seems like the women are putting the heat on after about 6 months. Why aren't you proposing yet? You
Yeah.
know, 7 years.
Oh, there was some heat
We
on.
got listen. We got a timer. All right, so we got to go.
Your easy bake oven.
When we're ready to go, it's time to go.
My batteries are running out.
So we dated for about 7 years, ended up getting married, have 2 beautiful daughters,
Yep.
3 grandchildren, and wouldn't trade it for the world. We've been married for 37 years now.
Yeah, congratulations.
Been married
37.
37 years.
He's got you guys beat
And then
just
you
by
were
a little.
dating 7 years prior to that.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
That's
a long
wonderful.
time. It's a lifetime, just like this
2/3 of
place.
your life, it seems like, right?
It is a lifetime, but it's been great.
No
I
math,
wouldn't-
Shane.
I
No
wouldn't-
math.
Sorry, I can't help it.
I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I will tell you, those people that,
Sorry.
I was going to say, for people that don't know Jossie, and Tom, you can back me up here, she's a little Spitfire.
She's been called a little Spitfire.
She's all of 5-0,
Little Barracuda.
and will take anybody to the ground and end them.
Well, her nickname around here was Sarge.
We have another Sarge in the house over here.
All right. Yeah, so, yeah.
Well, you do have two beautiful, beautiful daughters, and it's been fun watching them grow up and then getting married and having the one daughter
Grandkids?
having a couple of children of her own, and you've got another wedding coming up soon. When is that?
That's my second daughter, Alex. She's going to get married in February.
Next February.
Right. And they're doing a destination wedding in
fun.
the Bahamas.
Destination wedding. Everybody order more shots. Tom needs the revenue. Shots?
Yeah.
He needs revenue.
Well, Lynn and I got married on a destination. We went to St. Thomas on a cruise and got married on St. Thomas Island. And I got to tell you, I would recommend that to anybody. It is not all of the concerns and hassles of the flowers and the cake and the clothing.
You got
It's
a
just
beach,
pretty
and that's all you need.
Oh, man.
And how
It's
long have you
beautiful.
guys been married?
We've been married 29 years, going on 30.
When's 30?
Uh-oh. She's asking you when your
When's your
anniversary is.
anniversary?
Oh, January.
Good.
Hey, credit where credit's due. I remembered the month.
29th? 26th.
So
Hey,
close.
that's-
So
yeah.
close. So are we doing a destination celebration?
For the
Well, we
30th?
did a destination celebration for our 25th. We went
Can I go?
on a absolutely.
Oh, that's what I'm-
Everyone's gonna be
I'm
able to
getting-
She's trying to get to that.
go. When we do 30, I think we're going to do another cruise. We did a cruise for our 25th, and that was just a ball.
Yeah, and Lynn was just saying you guys met here also.
Oh yeah.
I did not meet my wife here. I'm sorry to say.
You did propose
I
to
broke
your wife
tradition.
here, though.
No.
Yes, you did.
That was a Tav.
How many
Oh
times
shit,
did
you're
you
right.
have to
Oh
propose
shoot,
to
you're
her?
right.
I think you can say shit.
Oh.
I think we decided that the only word you can't use on the podcast is the F word.
Oh shit, you're right.
There we go. So I'll say, Tom, my wife and I just had this conversation recently, not necessarily about your pain directly, but related to your pain, about weddings and daughters. Because we've got one daughter and 3 boys, and I was like, whew, we got off easy there. You got 2 daughters.
Yeah.
So
But
far,
they're a lot of
Shane.
fun.
So you just started paying for the first wedding, you got another one coming around.
One of them was more of a handful than the other, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
I know. I think I know.
That's a
exactly
whole
what you're
nother
talking
show.
about. Yeah. I've met them both. I think I know who
Yeah.
you're talking about. Yeah.
She talked about a Spitfire. My goodness.
Well, you know what I want to do is we spent a bunch of time talking about the history of Hoggsbreath and how you guys met, and obviously the amazing things that have happened in this room, including both of you meeting your future wives. But I'd like to hear more about you boys. A couple of good old boys, a couple of rednecks, hunting up north together. I would love to hear some of your around the campfire beer drinking stories.
Do we have 4 hours?
Well, we're bringing them back, so let's just see if we can't get a couple in here
One
today.
of my funnest memories was him and Big Steve. I mean, we were young. I mean, we were in our 20s, and we were up there just raising Cain. And holy moly, you're out having more than we should. They roll. You got to get up at like 4:30 to go out at that time of year to go out and hunt.
Yes,
They,
yep.
they came rolling in at 4.
Before first light.
And they're still. They didn't even change clothes. They just grabbed their guns and went out back of the house where we were staying and proceeded to, both of them, fall into the creek, trying to jump over it. So they kind of wound up coming back to the house and taking a nap and changing their clothes. And,
Do you remember this one, Tom?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I still do. But
I don't know.
Yeah,
You throw a story at us.
there was a lot of good old times up there. It's hard to figure out which one might be the best or not.
Is there anything that Tom was sort of like famous for when you take these trips? What did he always do that maybe was funny among the rest of the crew?
Which Tom?
Well, yeah.
This time.
I don't know.
Excuse me, we can't talk about that.
That might be X-rated.
Usually I'm the only one that gets to throw blows below the belt over here, but now I got you, and you know him way better than I do.
That's one of those things where what happens up north stays up north.
The Vegas thing.
But I have to tell you on my own behalf,
Yeah.
you know, Tommy and Dave and Wheels and whoever was with us, you know, they had pretty much had normal jobs. Tommy was a hard-working club owner, but me, I was, you know, doing the Rowdy Cowboy show and the dance clubs. I mean, at one time I was doing a rock and roll night, a country night, a dance night, a funk night. You know, I was doing all these, an oldies night, you know, and I was in a party all the time. So when I went up north, I wanted to hunt.
Yeah.
I wanted to sleep. I'd certainly have a little fun.
Yep.
I wanted to get some sleep, and
Yep.
I actually was very serious about hunting. And not so much these guys. They wanted to go up there, and I get it, but didn't really get it at the time. I said, can't we just go and hunt? And we're gonna have to get all crazy. And well, I did. I took it seriously, and I didn't party as hard as he did.
Well, no.
Wait a minute.
I don't
didn't party
know.
as hard as Big Steve did.
Yeah.
No, I was, you know, like I said, I lived this lifestyle of having fun and being in a crowd, and I wanted to get up there and enjoy the solitude and the wildlife. And you know, we came back with deer. I mean, every year. I mean, I can't ever remember not shooting a nice or a decent buck up there on that weekend. Thank you.
Gotta make sure the logo's facing you, sir.
All right.
It's facing away. That's why you couldn't hear you.
Oh, I didn't know I was off the mic. Anyway, we always came home. Recent years, maybe I can remember like maybe only 1 or 2 years where you didn't shoot a nice deer, and I think that was a little bit of bad luck. But we've always come home with our venison.
Well, what we did is, in our later years, we put some restrictions on some shooting where
Right.
Okay.
we didn't shoot anything less than a 10-pointer.
Okay.
So
You get rid of away from the if it's brown, it's down.
right. Big Steve didn't. He
He didn't hear that rule. Itchy trigger finger.
Yeah. But so, you know, there was a time or two that we didn't end up shooting anything just because we were waiting for at least a 10-pointer.
Right.
We started to preserve the deer population up there and
That's good.
grow the bucks as big as we could.
Yeah, we try and let the small deer grow up, but you know, we were only up there for one weekend out of the year, and the locals up there knew we were gone, and so that didn't always pan out the way we hoped it
Oh, you
would.
get some poachers on your land?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a quick
Yes.
question about Steve. So you guys have all these fun stories about Steve, and we wish he was here. But do you think he knows how to work the internet well enough to be watching this live right now, or is
No
someone gonna
way.
have to show him?
No way.
No, he,
We'll have to show him later.
yeah.
He's a dinosaur. More of a dinosaur than I am.
Well, I was going to compliment you, TD, because he was talking about going on these trips and getting away from the nightlife and then getting up and everybody wanting to be part of the nightlife. And us dragging you in here to do this in your bar. And I don't know if you work Saturdays normally, but I was like, it's awesome that you agreed to come back in today and do this with us.
No, I do work on Saturdays. That is as one of my main days that I open up here, and then I stick through bingo. That has become really big for the whole bar and restaurant industry.
Yeah.
And whoever thought that everybody would be playing bar bingo, and not only older people, but a lot of young people are playing bar bingo
My
now.
Snapchat is full of people playing bar bingo at different places. So
So we have a session that starts at 3 p.m. on Saturdays, and I'm the MC through the session. And then we have a
you
night.
make some comedy in there?
a
you
little
keep-
bit. A little
keep it
bit.
going?
Yeah. Yeah, I have some fun on the mic.
Good.
Yes. But, and then we
Like
have.
me.
Yeah, say he learned a few things
Yes,
all
I
those
did.
years.
Like me, he stumbles over big words once in a while.
Right.
That old 69 still gets them.
That'll never get old.
But then we have a 8 p.m. session on Saturdays, and that's our Cosmic Bingo.
Okay, what is Cosmic Bingo?
Cosmic Bingo is where you bring in some black lights and you put them up throughout the bar, and we have a disc jockey, DJ Bob, plays music in between the bingo games, and it's more of a fast pace, turn the lights down, kind of a nighttime bingo game. And
Kind of like Cosmic Bowling.
right. And
Do you see
it attracts a lot of the younger people.
I was going to say,
also.
do you see a different crowd with the two different sessions?
Yes. It's more of the older people that come to my session.
The more experienced people?
Yeah, and more of the younger people come to the Cosmic session, which Eric, our general manager, handles that, and he's actually the bingo caller. And we have to have reservations for both of the sessions, and then we also have a session on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. So our reservation book is booked up now for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
On people that want to get in here and play bar bingo. And
Okay, so let's get this out right away because this is going live right now on the internet. Where do they have to go to get in line?
well, they call up here and they can either be put on a waiting list, where if we have some cancellations, we'll call them back.
Sure.
But I think our 3 p.m. Session is full today, and then our 8 p.m. Cosmic Bingo, I think there's a waiting list of about 10 people on that.
Wow.
With 4 or 5 or 6 people in each group. And tonight, especially, we're going to feature all of Prince's music.
Okay.
So
awesome.
it's kind of each week we'll feature some entertainer that is well known, and this week it is Prince, so we're going to do a tribute to him and a lot of his music, and so
A
people
lot of high energy music there.
are really,
yeah.
really excited about that.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what's you said they call up here. What's the phone number to the bar?
651-484-7067.
7067 484 7067.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're interested in bingo and Cosmic or the standard version of bingo, you want to call up here and get your name on the list. It sounds like it's a great time.
It is, and
Do you run any drink or food specials?
also our Tuesday session is at 6 p.m.
Okay.
and that's every Tuesday. Same number, same phone number, 651-484-7067.
Okay.
And
Are there any food or drink specials that you guys run for that stuff?
yeah, we always have $2 off any of appetizers, and we have happy hour drink prices.
You guys have a really
And-
nice app menu, by the way. I was looking at it earlier
Yeah.
today, and you've added some stuff since the last time I worked here.
Yeah, we just redid the food menu. Actually, my wife, Jossie, was instrumental in doing the whole new food menu. And a lot of new items. We took some off, but it's a pretty large menu, as you can tell.
Yes.
And an item for just about anybody who wants any type of food, we have it on our menu.
And you know, you've got good food. You know, restaurants, sports bars, they just should all be fortunate enough, as you have been, because your food has always been consistent and it's always been good, and you've always had a wonderful food crowd here, whether it be lunch or early evening, and that's not easy to do. I mean, I'm so happy to hear that you're doing these big numbers with the bingo crowd, because it's just good to hear anything good happening in the clubs these days with the COVID thing happening. So the fact that you're kicking butt during those hours is just wonderful to hear.
Right, and it's just been an adjustment because we have to close at 11
Right.
p.m. at night, and we used to be open till 2 a.m., so we have to make up somewhere for the loss of business that we
Yep.
had from 11 to 2.
Which used to be the bulk of the business.
Right, we used to have on every Friday and Saturday there would be at least 500 people that would come through the door on each one of those nights.
Wow.
Yep.
And that was from 11:30 to 2.
And you got to figure they're each having at least 1 or 2 drinks. So it's a
Right.
big, that's a big. I mean, 1,000 drinks in a night. That's a lot. Yeah, very important.
Unless
Is
it
that-
was Monday night, then they were having more.
looks like Wade just walked in. Speaking of Wade,
Yeah.
hard to miss him. He's like 9 feet tall.
6'8" and a half.
Hey, you still use the half after high school? You got to let that go, don't you?
But
No.
I was like, turn your mic on.
Sorry. I'm yelling about being short.
That's our first time doing live. What are you gonna
YOLO.
do?
Yeah, this is fun, too.
This is fun.
Yeah, I'm
Actually, I was
enjoying it.
thinking we should maybe do this once a month.
Oh,
It's fine with me.
okay.
I bet it is.
I'm certainly thinking that when we do the,
We wear boots next time?
I will, when we do the Rowdy Cowboy Show
Reunion.
reunion,
Yes.
we'll have to do a live podcast.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We have your commitment, right?
yes,
All right.
yes, indeed.
Can't back out now.
It's on camera. It's on the interweb. That means it happened.
Absolutely.
That whole thing, Pixar, didn't happen. We don't have Pixar. We got video.
We do have video, and we're very excited because the reunion's going to be amazing. And we have a lot of people
It's
that
40
are like,
years. I think it's 40 years last year, so we're celebrating it this year.
oh, Lord. 40. I'm
40.
only 30. So what happened to the negative 10 years I had?
Do either of the Toms remember 30? Remember that?
Being
You
30?
were 30 at one point.
Oh, yeah.
30 was a good year.
Any advice?
I still think I'm 30.
Like Scott.
Yeah, I'll give you some advice.
Go ahead.
Stay healthy.
Working on it.
Stay healthy and take care of your eyes. Getting to our age, man, we're blessed that we have such good health.
Shane's like,
It's
not
just
I.
Really, really healthy.
All right. Ooh.
This is an A and B conversation. I'm going to see myself out.
TD, do you got any advice for 30 going on?
Well, you're
More?
only, you're only as old as you feel, so, or as young as you feel. So, like I said, I'm up there in age, but not quite as old as Tomcat.
I'm going to tell him you said
But
that.
I don't feel like it. You
2
know,
years.
Too funny. Too funny.
I feel like I'm still in my 40s.
Right on.
I do too.
But I think what really helps me out is being in this business and being around young, active people.
Yeah.
And I want to be like them and keep up with them.
yeah.
So
You're on a podcast.
Being hip?
it keeps me going, wearing my boots again.
Yeah.
So-
Yes. The saucy red tip boots. I love it.
Those are awesome boots.
They are awesome. They are awesome. So because I have 3 gentlemen that are all married, marriage advice.
Wait, are you talking about us?
Yeah.
You said gentlemen. I just want to make sure.
Oh, yeah, I use that loosely. All right.
It's a high bar to live up to.
Sorry about that. Marriage advice. What have you learned? What do you say to the young bucks? Because I feel like, we come from a hookup society, right? Sometimes.
Yeah.
So lock it down. But
We
then,
wouldn't know anything about that. We
No,
never had that
absolutely not.
phase.
You guys are.
It was never called hookup.
No. You guys are obviously
I'll tell
well
you what,
dedicated.
I'll take the reins on that one. I
ahead.
can introduce you to my beautiful bride, and I can tell you
Oh,
that.
she's the best.
Where is she?
I don't know how you got her. You just must be
I
lucky.
haven't heard that one before.
You did get very lucky.
I did get lucky, but you know
Yes.
what we've had in common? First of all, she's the most patient person in the world.
You hear that?
If either, and you, Tommy, are a very, very patient individual.
Very
I think
much so.
patience is very important in a.
He employed all
Let
of
the
us.
other
He had to have
person-
patience.
Super patient.
Let the other person do what they want to do and promote them and encourage them. But our rock in our marriage is our Christianity, our belief in God, and we belong to a wonderful church, and we read the Bible and we do Bible studies together and apart. And that's our foundation, and I encourage anybody that's listening or watching, if you're planning on getting married, include the Lord in your life, man. It's the glue that holds us together.
And separate bathrooms aren't a bad idea.
Separate
Separate
bathrooms.
bathrooms.
Very important.
The first time that I'm sure you've been to their place. The
Yeah.
first time I heard that from you was like, no, use my bathroom. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I get it. It makes sense now.
Oh, yeah.
How about you, Tommy Durray?
Well, I think you have to find the right person, and when you do find that person, you'll know it. and you just have to be true to that person, and you have to share things together, and build a family, and from there grandkids, and it just keeps you together, and it just keeps you on the upside of life, and just try and stay as young as you can for as long as you can.
Yeah.
You bet.
Absolutely.
Good advice.
Absolutely. And Shane, how about you and your wife? How do you guys stay together and stay coordinated?
Shane's wife.
Oh no, we know.
This doesn't surprise anyone, actually.
Oh no.
Separate bathrooms.
Very separate
For a
bathrooms,
very
right?
different reason than their separate bathrooms, I'll have you know. I mean, both of our toilets used to be white.
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah, no, actually it's very simple. That when I get asked for marital advice, my go-to is what's hers is hers, and what's yours is also hers. No, on a serious note, I would say make sure that your wife is your best friend. Your marriage is not a business relationship, although it feels that way sometimes, where you have a household to run and you got kids to manage and you got bills to pay and all that kind of stuff. It can get to where it feels routine, but if you treat your marriage like a friendship, and a best friendship at that, in the same way that KG and I have, that's how we've survived our ups and downs, and how my wife and I have survived our ups and downs, is remembering that at the end of the day we are best friends, we have trust in each other, we confide in each other, we pray together. Like that's what it's all about, is keeping both sides of that relationship.
I love that.
Yeah.
No crying in the booth.
I love you, man.
I love you.
Who would have thought we'd be sitting here, the three of us, giving marriage advice?
You know,
Not
advice
that
can
anyone
come
can
in
listen to it, but
advice can come in many forms. What to do and what not to do, right? Is that right?
oh, we got plenty of what not to do.
That's another day. That's
that's a
another
whole
day.
other episode.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
You get 2 hours on that one.
I just
Sure.
want to say, thanks, Tom, for having us here, because, this is a lot of, what you don't see is all the setup behind the cameras, and there's a lot going on. So, Tom, thank you so much for hosting us and having us and letting us move in temporarily into your space.
Well, thank you. You've done an awesome job here setting up all this equipment and operating it and putting on a top quality show. It's amazing, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Our hair and makeup person did a great job for you, Tom.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're losing. We have a picture of Tommy and I in the DJ booth from way back when we had long hair and it wasn't quite so gray, and I forgot to bring that picture, but we'll get it up in another event, another show.
Absolutely.
Danny, we're going to have to get a camera on you and a mic for you. You have a mic. We'll have to get a camera to switch on you when you're talking too, so the folks know.
As long as it's in the budget, I'm in.
That was directed at me, I think.
Shane.
Write the check.
But time out, we are looking for sponsors, and people who want to jump on and be a part of this, and our biggest thing is, how are we connecting with our community, like Hoggsbreath and like Tom, and, also building up our country and our hunting community, and that's big. That's big.
And I love this kind of episode especially because we have somebody in Tom that has so much experience with both the music community, but country music more specifically, but also being an avid hunter your whole life. I mean, like our first guest, Ryan Pilgrim, you probably popped out of the womb and got handed a rifle. So yeah, it's cool to have you come in and be able to share some of your experience that way.
I'm still trying to remember some of the stories, and a lot of them are going through my mind. But
so the acreage, you guys, you said there's a couple hundred acres up north.
Well, we still farm about 2,500 acres up there.
This is your brother, I think, right?
Right, my brother and my nephew.
Oh, wow.
Still do the farming.
Are they?
up there.
They're planting though. They're not milking.
Right.
Right.
We've got rid of that part of the farm.
Well, I think that's where you're diligent.
Otherwise-
I know some other guys that are very successful in life. Oscar Carlson, who's going to be on one of our podcasts, famous sheep hunter. He grew up on a dairy farm. You grew up on a dairy farm, and everyone I know that grew up on a dairy farm has been very successful. They learn that work ethic.
One of my good friends is still a dairy farmer in a different state.
Uh-huh.
And he's always like, I got a better day than you. I'm like, how's that? And he goes, I wake up in the morning, I go to bed at night, both of them I get to squeeze a teat. I can't argue with that. What do you do?
Yeah, so I think that's part of where your patience and your work ethic comes from, is growing up on a dairy farm for sure.
Right. You know, when I came down to the cities here and started doing this business, it's easy. It's like nothing to it compared to what I had to do up there.
Right.
And it's, you know, the hours might be the same, but the work is so much better, so much easier, because basically you're talking to people and you know, it's just a lot more enjoyable, and the time.
Right.
It's been 47 years, or 40 some years, I should say, but it doesn't feel like that amount of time. It's been.
Did you do 4 and 4 or 5 and 5?
4 and 4.
4 and 4.
But a little bit about your sponsor. Is Jack Daniels a sponsor?
They're not. I know Tom keeps
okay.
alluding to that in the episodes.
Well, I think they will be.
Yeah, our it's a new podcast. Obviously, you're our 11th episode, and so in order for us to go after a major corporate sponsorship like that, you got to have some proof of concept. That's sort of, I mean, you understand with business.
Sure, yeah.
They want to see that you're doing things correctly and that you've got legitimacy to the product that you have, and that there's some benefit to them in being able to market or advertise their product on your show in this case.
Sure.
So I sponsor it with my real estate brand right now because
I think the Hoggs might be a future sponsor.
all this is being paid for by me. But you know, we're attracting other sponsors. We've been getting some emails from some folks interested. So
Because I was just going to say that our clientele loves Jack Daniels, and maybe you can show them this podcast and they might be able. But we used to go through, before the pandemic, 2 cases a week of Jack Daniels here at the Hoggsbreath.
I was going to say, when KG and I were here, it must have been at least that.
And now it's slimmed down a little bit, but we still go through.
Hey, I'm doing my part.
About a case a week, so it's.
We keep a bottle of
love the
single
brand.
barrel on the desk between us when we're doing our typical podcasts from the studio.
Right, yeah, I've watched those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, boys, as much fun as this has been and as many other questions I have about you two and your sordid history.
You know, next time we have Tommy on the show, and we're going to definitely have him back.
Yeah.
Maybe with Big Steve, maybe by the. I gotta go remember some of the things that we did and write them down on a notepad, and.
You call Lynn your notepad now?
Lenny is my notepad. She's my memory bank.
She's the brains of the operation.
That's absolutely
for sure.
true.
Yeah. Brains and beauty. She's got
20
it all.
years of doing the Wee Fest, she was the stage producer, handling all of that.
And maybe sometime I'll get down to the Wee Fest if you start emceeing that again.
That's still up in the air. Might be back this year.
Yeah.
You know, he hired
Kelly Pickler.
Kelly Pickler had the song "Red High Heel Shoes."
Yep.
And she's going to MC the Wee Fest this year. I may go up and help her, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. We got to bring this thing in for a landing, boys. It's been a lot of fun. And again, thanks to you, Tom. Seriously, very grateful that you opened up your house to us here to let us come in and do this. I know it's certainly
you.
a mild interruption in the business and, you know, your clientele and us taking up a bunch of space like this, but we appreciate your generosity in having us. So,
Well, I appreciate you coming in here and with the world famous Tomcat and yourself, Shane, and the production.
He likes doing that.
The production was great, and all the work that was done.
so it's Hoggsbreath on Facebook, right?
Right.
And what's the website?
Hoggsbreath, HOGGSBREATH.com.
All right, hoggsbreath.com.
And they
then-
do have a new logo. It's an H and a B, in case you're looking for it.
Yeah, that logo did change for those folks that look you up on Facebook, just so they don't get confused. It is, in fact, you still.
And we tagged them
Right.
on our page, so if you're looking for them, they're on our page.
And if my memory serves me, it's 651-484-7067.
That is correct.
All right.
Wow.
Well, we had a great lunch before we started, and
Math. It's a math brain thing.
I know.
Yeah.
You wacko. It's so cool.
It is. It's weird. I know it's weird.
Okay.
and Lynn and I have to shoot off to my godson's wedding.
I'm going to go show some houses in my camo.
If you turn your
If they
head to
could
the
find
right,
you.
and you can see the Unreal logo, that's my godson, Michael Jordan, and he's getting married today.
And we're going to talk him into sponsorship,
Number
too.
23.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
wrong,
have
Michael
him on
Jordan.
as a guest as well. He's just the coolest young man. And he's unreal. He's got like 6 NHL teams now. And
Yeah, he's
some
doing
other
well.
pro teams. And
He's doing a great
just
job.
Doing great.
Well, folks, don't forget to check us out on all the different platforms, video and audio, including Spotify, Facebook, YouTube. Now, we're live on Facebook today, but this episode will be uploaded both in audio and video platform to all of those places, so definitely check us out. Do us a favor and like, share, and comment. If you're not already subscribed on those platforms with us, please do that as well. You can send questions and or comments or snide remarks over to Boots and Backstraps podcast at gmail.com. We'll check those out and even air a few questions, which we've done in the past on episodes. So special thanks to our team today, and special thanks to Lynn for stepping in and being awesome for us. TK.
Always.
You opened the floodgates on that one, the sarcastic remarks. Holy cow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. I'd like to leave you with a thought. Whether you're belting out your favorite country song or pursuing your favorite game animal, I encourage you to use that same enthusiasm to pursue the Lord. He'll teach you to shoot straight. Thanks for watching today.
Thanks, everyone out there. We appreciate you tuning in.
Come on now.
Thank you.
Hunt is on, looking for backstraps, way deep in the woods, tracking in a swamp to a hay field under the harvest moon. When the tags are filled, it's time to switch up our boots. Head down to the honky tonk, get us a swing dance or two. We're talking about boots and backstraps.